there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking, and great to have you along for another episode of our weekly show, the Boxing Deep Dive Show. We've got plenty to get through. Without further ado, I'm going to bring in my co-host for tonight's show, and it is Tazzie Brown, fresh from work at, is it Box Fit or Boxing Fit? Give us a look there.
Boxing Fit, Port Melbourne.
Port Melbourne. To get in there if you want a session with Tazzie. He's best in the business down there. And, of course, Peter Maniatis down there. How are you, Pete?
Good to see you guys. Looking forward to a great show.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Hey, Peter, do you have any symbols in that shirt? The Versace Louis Vuitton? I can't see. Move your hand, mate. It looks like you got a bit of a Louis Vuitton there.
Boys, we've got a massive night tonight. There's so much to get through, and it's great after a couple of years of being pretty scarce of what's happening to have so much going on. We've got all the Aussie news, all the world news. We've got the talking points, the quiz, and Rapha Hardman is making a comeback.
Tirade as well.
Oh, we've got a tirade, have we?
Yeah.
All right. I don't like the sound of that, but we'll see how we go. But no, that's fine. So Tazzie's tirade a little bit later on. So let's get into it, guys. We'll get straight into the Aussie news. So it seems like a long time ago now, but Nikita Tszyu, successful debut. Now, Tazzie, you're pretty close to the Tszyu boys. He made a successful debut with I think it was a second round knockout of a very game Aaron Stahl, I must say. But great way to get off the mark.
Yeah, look, I mean, Nikita's a great prospect. A lot of people need to remember that he only ever fought as a junior. Like, he won 4 Australian titles, but that was as a schoolboy, as a junior. So he didn't fight as a senior. So to have all them years off, to never fight as actually a man, to come in after so many years out and have your pro debut as the main event with all the pressure, as being a main event, being Tim's brother, Costa's son, I think he done a great job. I think he held himself really well. He wanted to go longer. He really was enjoying himself in there. And we only seen a small glimpse of what he can do. So he's a great addition to Australian boxing. I mean, he's got all the similar style to Tim. Like, he was relaxed. He's calm. They got that very good style, like from their dad. He's only going to get better. I mean, he's a kid with no experience, really. So, mate, the sky's the limit for Nikita Tszyu.
Yeah, Pete, Tazzie hit it right on the head there. We tend to forget that he hasn't fought for so long and didn't really have a massive amateur career either. And not only has he got the son of Costa, but also the brother of Tim. So he's had the double whammy, and to be main event, Fox Sports, live TV. He did a great job, didn't he?
Yeah, what a debut. I mean, he's got everything you want in a fighter. He's got power, he's got poise, obviously got a great team behind him. It's a very impressive debut. I mean, was this debut as impressive as Anthony Mundine's?
Oh, what do you reckon, Tazzie? About
I'm
the same,
asking you guys.
That's an interesting question. That's interesting. I mean, look, Mundine come pretty much from rugby and no experience. Nikita, even though he hasn't fought, I want to stipulate that he might have been a great junior, sub-junior, but he still didn't fight as a senior. So, I don't know, Peter. That's interesting. I mean, Mundine fought in front of a bigger crowd and pay-per-view and all that. But mate, it's a good point. I don't really know. But, I mean, I guess they both come through really well, didn't they?
They did. It was very impressive.
I was really impressed with Nikita, with all the pressure that he was under, because, as you said, Tazzie, all the things that were sort of going against him at the time, but to get up there and put on a great performance, I think we've got to just put one of those things where he's a very hyped young boxer making his debut. I think it's one of those situations where you just say, hey, let's just get this one out the road. Let's not worry about how we looked or how we felt. Let's just get it out the road and move on, because it must be so difficult for these types of guys to turn pro. I mean, we've had so many over the years, internationally and domestically, that turn pro and have so much expectations. It must be very hard for these guys to deal with all that.
It's going to be hard from here on, though, because I mean, people, look, it doesn't. We all know we don't take notice of Facebook idiots, armchair critics, but people question the opponent. Well, the guy was 2-0. So who's he meant to fight in his first fight as a pro and as an adult. But it's always going to be, though, they're always going to question the opponent. So where do they go? They can't go too fast. He needs to learn as he goes on. So he's in an awkward position in matchmaking-wise because if they fight anyone lesser, they're going to get criticised. But they can't go too far too soon. So it is going to be a real, I hate to be the matchmaker, it's going to be a real hard job, A, to get opponents to fight him, B, to not jump too far too soon, D, to be credible still, if it's going to be main event all the time. So it's a real sort of, you understand, Lynn? It's a real sort of process. Where do you go with him?
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. And Pete, and Tazzie's right. I mean, the Australian boxing public just seem to sometimes just not get it. I mean, if it was in America or Russia or wherever it might be, the expectation would be that, okay, we know you're going to get 6 or 7, I won't say pushovers, but we're going to get 6 or 7 fighters that are going to help your development and obviously get some wins and some confidence. Because you've got to remember, Nikita's got to get used to being a professional fighter. It's the training, it's the recovery, it's the diet, it's the getting used to the cameras in his face, getting used to training like a professional. The professional show in itself and the TV cameras. There's a lot to get your head around as a young fighter. And as I said, I just don't think the Aussie public sort of get it. To think he's going to fight someone any better than an Aaron Stahl, I just think it's ridiculous.
What I think sort of got crossed over and lost here was the fact that it was main event. If you had to slip that in mid-fight range and it didn't happen that way, it probably would have taken the pressure off him.
Yeah.
The fact they showcase him as a main event, first fight up against Stahl, that's sort of the limelight and the magnifying glass on him a bit more than what he deserved to have because he's just a young kid. It's his first fight. He's a junior. It's going to take a long time. Look, Tim took 10 fights. We promoted him at Bendigo.
Yep.
At Bendigo, he was still a work in progress. Now he's just about to become a superstar. So it takes time. It's baby steps. Nikita's going to be the same. I mean, he's made from the same cloth. He's got superhuman power. There's no that. He's a bit more open than Tim, and he's not responsible defensively. So he's going to be getting tagged a lot more, but the crowd's going to like it because he's going to have a good look at there's going to be times when he starts rocking and rolling and getting vibed up himself in a fight once he steps up in class because he's a southpaw and he puts himself in that position.
Tazzie, I was just going to say too, do you reckon maybe before we move on, just with the Fox Sports thing, that maybe they could have marketed it all about Tim Tszyu, but maybe put Liam Wilson as the main event on the night?
No, Nikita Tszyu.
What did I say?
Tim.
Sorry, Nikita. Apologies, Nikita.
Right. I just blame Richard Rolls, Lyndon. That's all I blame.
It's only early in the show too. Thanks, Richie.
That's it. Listen, as I said, I had a beautiful dinner with Tim and Glenn, who are dear friends of mine in Melbourne, and I brought the subject up, and they said they were going to go down a path they did with Tim. They're going to fight in Bendigo, Townsville, Rockhampton, on as an undercard fighter to let him get
Hobart, no Hobart.
Well, we did discuss fighting in Hobart as well, honestly, and then my surprise when I heard his Fox Sports main event, I was going, something's happened here. Like that wasn't the plan that I heard firsthand. You know what I mean? So something must have happened from there, Fox Sports, which I understand. Tim Tszyu's been so successful, and they might be worried about losing Tim now, with America and winning world titles. So I guess they want to fast track Nikita. I just hope I know they won't because Glenn's a great manager, and I'm full confidence in Glenn.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't fast track him too soon though, because he's still, he's still a work in progress. He's got all the ability in the world, and I want to see Nikita do as well, if not better, as Tim.
How many people would you have got to Hobart Town Hall if Nikita Tszyu was fighting down there, mate? That's the next question I want to ask.
Well, it was a realistic conversation at the time, and I'm thinking that they're going to fight in Toowoomba and wherever else, fight in Hobart. And we did talk about it, but obviously now, I guess not. Look, probably 2,500, 3,000.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it?
And Tim would have been there as a guest as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but anyway, my relationship with the Tszyu family.
Yeah.
A funny story here. The only way Costa got to watch this fight was he messaged me. He said, how do I watch it? Where's the link? Whatever's going on in Russia right now. So what I done, how you can film on your phone, on the iPhone.
Yep.
I had it on KO, and I filmed his warm-up, his ring walk, and each round, and I was sending it on WhatsApp. So Costa watched it through his old friend Tazzie Brown.
All right, KO executives, as you're watching, Tazzie's the blame. He's the man. So, Pete, I want to get on to the undercard because this man, Liam Wilson, especially because of what you said last week, Liam Wilson avenges the loss with a second-round knockout of Joe Norday. Now, you sat there last week and said, put the house on Liam Wilson. He will knock out Joe Norday. Mate, 100% right.
Yeah, look, he came in overweight. So normally, as I said, 99% of Filipinos that come in overweight lose the fight. I was only going on that logic. I did not know anything. I did not know any pre-training form from Liam Wilson, but it was a big, devastating left hook, and he got the job done. And now he gets back all the marbles. I mean, that was a real, cash in all type of fight. So he gets the marbles, and good on Liam Wilson, good on to his team. The old saying really favoured for them. Fortune favours the brave. So they went in and they got the job done.
All right, before I let you comment, Tazzie, let's have a look at the knockout. Actually, I've got to watch that again. Hang on. What a left hook. Now, I know there's a few conspiracy theories getting around out there, Tazzie, but you've got to take your hat off for Liam Wilson to back up straight away against Norday, and that left hook, mate, brilliant.
Mate, he done a great job. I mean, many people didn't like him fighting him again so soon. I thought it was a career-defining fight. If he loses, he's finished. So he's a true fighter. He wanted the guy that beat him. And 8 months he lived. He slept, ate, and breathed Norday. What you didn't see before that clip, he throws the right first singly to set it up. Then he throws the right and brings the left hook after it, which that's a bit of his... Liam does that quite well in other fights. So, look, it was a great win. Full credit to him for wanting to avenge a loss. Hats off to Penamati artists for... Look, thank God there's not many Filipino questions in the quiz because I'm no chance. He's Filipino boxing, Peter. Yeah. He knows it all. He knew, and he knows the Filipino fighters. He knows what they're good at and what they're not. And he said, if they come in overweight like that, they're not going to win. So hats off to Peter. Hats off to Liam. Hats off to Steve Scanlon, good mate of mine, manager Benny Harrington, and Liam Wilson's now. They're talking world titles. So. I'd like to see him fight Paul Fleming because they're the two, all Blau did. They're still good guys here yet, but mate, what can you say? Great victory.
I agree. I was one of the ones that actually on this show said, look, if I was his management, one, I wouldn't have fought him in the first place straight away, and two, I wouldn't have fought him after he came in 4 kilos overweight. That's before Pete said over here that don't worry about the 4 kilos because he's not going to win. So, but look, take my hat off fully to Liam Wilson. He got back on. He shut himself off for this fight. He dedicated himself 100% to it. And regardless of what condition his opponent came in, his weight and everything else, Liam Wilson turned up on weight, ready to go, did the job, move on, and some massive fights to come, Pete.
And he's got a young family. He's got a couple of young kids. So, people don't understand what it takes for boxers. So sometimes they don't get to spend the quality time with their family and with young kids.
He's got young
never
kids,
get that time back. So, I mean, so it was a great effort. What can you say?
Yeah, and Pete, it's reminiscent of his fight on, what was it, the last show I did with... with
February.
He knocked out Quadros.
Right hand, left hook.
Right hand, left hook against the southpaw. I think it was a southpaw, whatever he was anyway. Same combination, right hand, left hook, and just splattered him all over the canvas.
He was asleep.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Pete, I'm going to give you the honour of covering the next fight because I couldn't really find a lot to like about it. It was Dennis Hogan with a 12-round decision over our man, Wade Ryan.
Who is it? Who's covering it?
Pete's going to cover it for starters. You'll have a crack too.
Good. Thank God.
Pete, well, the scores were 120, 108, 117, 110, 116, 111. There's no highlights because, Pete, I'm sorry, I struggled to find one. What did you think?
Look, at least it puts Dennis Hogan in a position where he can fight for an IBO world titles, an IBO eliminator. Justin Kennedy was there to represent the IBO.
Shout out to Justin. On you, Justin.
Good man, Justin.
Yeah, Dennis Kennedy's Dennis Hogan. Yeah, he's paid his dues. He started as a light heavyweight back in the day with Fortitude Gym, Steve Della.
Yep.
He's worked his way down now to junior middle. He's a great guy. He's got Stephen Edwards in his corner. They're a good team. Now, hopefully, can make some, at the tail end of his career, make some good money, because that was a terrific win.
Yep.
Wade Ryan and him were, a lot of people were tipping Wade Ryan. A lot of people thought Wade Ryan was at the, at the peak of his powers and flying and was going to beat Dennis Hogan. So it was a crossover fight. Now that Dennis Hogan has got that win, let's hope he gets the IBO world title, because he deserves it. He's a great guy and a great team.
I must admit, I was one of the ones that thought Dennis Hogan would win quite comfortably. But Dennis...
Lyndon.
But
You've got to be in your bonnet.
No,
the worst thing,
I'm over
the
that.
worst thing Wade Ryan didn't do was respond to your message.
I'm over that.
Since then, he's been blacklisted on the media.
It's all good.
He shot himself in the foot there, Lyndon.
It's all good. Tazzie, I was just going to say, after Dennis Hogan was wiped out by Tim Tszyu, he came back and I thought was very sluggish, unmotivated against Tommy Brown. But in this fight, he did what he had to do. He got the win. And as Pete said, he's put himself in line for an IBO world title shot.
Yeah, well, it just shows you when you got that experience at the high level internationally, like the guys that he fought. You can't buy experience. And he had enough for Wade Ryan. I only saw a few rounds. So I had a shower in between getting ready for Nikita Tszyu. But
you didn't miss much.
No, but well done.
I think the shower would have been more exciting.
Wade Ryan did resurrect his career, so credit to him.
Yeah.
And credit to Dennis Hogan. And the victor goes the spoils.
Yeah, look, we're not obviously hanging shit on the guys here. End of the day, their styles just clashed, and it was just not a great fight. So, but Dennis Hogan got the win, so good luck to him. Also on the undercard, which I thought was a very impressive performance. Steve Sparks stopped Riverdazz in 6 one-sided rounds. It was a great performance.
Yeah, it was. So I was really impressed by Steve Spark. And he's back on a winner's circle now. And he did the hard yards by taking on Tim Tszyu, and Rapha pulled out. So you kind of want to respect the Australian public as he saved the day.
Yep.
And now he's rectifying his career and coming back strong. So he's a big puncher, and Brendan Smith's in his corner, and he's got Michael Katsidis as well. So he's going to make some real good noise, I reckon. I reckon he's a chance of, he's definitely going to be beating a lot of Australian fighters. Put it this way, this part of the continent, he'll be doing a lot of damage. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Tazzie, I sort of discarded the Tim Tszyu fight because he stepped in really short notice. Tim's a beast, a super welterweight. Stevie Sparks is super lightweight, so I think it was that 6 kilos difference. So I sort of discard that. But I must admit, I'd seen him fight a few times and thought he was an honest battler, solid, hungry, he can punch. I was a little bit doubtful about whether he could actually get out of that sort of regional level. But from what he showed the other night, I know probably Riverdazz wasn't to the quality of some of the other guys out there, but just the performance he put on, I thought was really impressive. Yeah,
look, it's good to see him down to his natural weight. Even before Tim, he fought Brubaker at waterweight. So he's going to be really hard to beat at super lightweight. Riverdazz, I heard some big things about him in the gym, tough guy. I know.
I thought he'd give him a good fight.
No, he done a good job. Full credit to Riverdazz. But Sparksy, mate, he looks really good. He's he's got a lot of talent. Like he seems quite relaxed behind the jab. He's got a good kit of punches. He moves well. He's got a good pop, especially for a super lightweight. It's good that he's not waterweight now. I guess Liam Parray's got to be the best super lightweight out of Australia.
Yep.
But apart from him, Sparks has got to be there. I also too like my good friend Usyk Bilal Dib brother. But Sparksy, mate, he's a good fighter, and he's got a great crew, like Peter said. Brendan Smith, who's been there and done it with Castillo and Mick's there as well, my old ex-Australian teammate. And I like Spark, mate. He's a good, honest fighter. He's good at. He does everything quite well.
There's some good fights for him too, isn't there, Pete? I think I know him and Dara Foley have been exchanging pleasantries, but and who knows down the track with Liam Paro.
But waterweight now?
Sorry?
What weight would that be? Because isn't Foley at waterweight now? Or
I think he said he was going to make
super.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if you've heard anything, Pete, but I would expect
they
it to be
did have a bit of
at light welterweight.
I love Dara too. He's a good man of mine.
A few fights on now. I mean, there's Kane Clark as well. Kane boxes at light and super lightweight. Kane Superman Clark. He's very hard to beat. Very strong, tricky. There's a few fights there for him, no doubt.
All right, let's get on to another Aussie debutant on the big stage. Skye Nicolson, a successful professional debut in San Diego. She won a 6-round decision over Jessica Juarez. I'm going to put some highlights up, which will probably get deleted from YouTube by DAZN, but we'll see, or Matchroom, we'll see how we go. But the scores were 60-54 times 2 and 59-55. But Tazzie, I was really impressed with Skye Nicolson. I think from what I've seen, I know we've got so many really good girls getting around at the moment, but I think from what I saw that she's got all the tools to become or take the spot of the top of female boxing once Shannon O'Connell retires.
Mate, the sky's the limit for Skye Nicolson, not excuse the pun. But look, if you win a Commonwealth Games gold medal, come close to winning the medal at the Olympic Games, have that great amateur pedigree like she had internationally, you're going to do well. I mean, you've been signed by Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, the best in the game at the moment, in my opinion. She's based in England with ultimate sparring opportunities. She debuts in San Diego. She's mixing it with Canelo. She's an attractive girl and can fight and box. Mate, she's got the biggest future ever. And women boxing's getting so popular now. 100% she's going to be the face of Australian women's boxing.
Yeah,
easily.
Pete, what I liked about her is that she's got the type of style that her style dictates the fight. And it doesn't really matter who she fights, whether a boxer or a fighter. Her style allows her to really just set the flow of the fight and the pace of the fight. And you can't sort of teach that a lot of the times. It's just a natural thing. But
Pure class.
I'd like to see her probably throw a few more punches, which I'm sure will come. But she's just got that style where, as I said, it's just the fight's totally at her pace.
Yeah, good on her, and obviously she's got an outstanding amateur career and tragic family circumstances. So it's good to see she's getting a break in life, and I hope she makes a lot of money because she deserves it.
Yeah,
got a tremendous amount of talent, good kid, good future. All the best to her.
Yeah, and what I like
it's
about
good that she's based in England too.
Yeah, and what I like about her too, Tazzie, is that she's going to compete.
Stuff England, Tazzie. What are you talking about? England's bloody pommy land. You wouldn't last there 2 weeks with those pommies. They're all whinging and all that type of stuff.
Oh, I don't disagree there, but just for boxing, for sparring, and and getting the fights. It's a lot better than Australia, but in boxing,
especially with the women. But what I was just going to say, Tazzie, what I really like about her is that, apart from her style and everything like that, but there's also that and I hope it stays this way. She's very respectful. I know it was only her first fight. She's looking to compete at the next Olympics, by the way, in 2024. So she can't have more than 10 fights. But I liked about she's very articulate, well spoken. Obviously, she's got the looks and everything else, but there's no trash talking. There's no flash gear at the way and that sort of stuff. She's all class, and I just hope it stays that way because she's got all the attributes.
She didn't pull out the G string and the lingerie, the ebony bridges.
No, she didn't do that. No.
Peter loves those veins, and Ebony gets.
I don't like the tattoos when all the girls start tatting up and all that. Yeah. And for me, it is what it is. We're not going to make too many comments. It's good to see.
He likes a good, clean, wholesome girls.
Be very careful.
It's good to see Skye clean cut and no tattoos and all that, and looks like she's the farmer's daughter or something.
What do you think, Peter? If you was a promoter, are you against women wearing lingerie at the weigh-in?
They can wear whatever they want. They can wear whatever they want.
Yeah, I think
as long as they sell tickets.
Yeah, and look, they've all got their own way of marketing themselves. I think Skye Nicolson will be very successful by being herself and acting with class, and as I said, being articulate, and obviously she can fight. So I think.
Well said, Lyndon. Well said.
I think she's the type of fighter to do that. But
keep it clean, Peter. Keep it clean.
Let's just move on because I'm going to move on because we don't want to say anything you regret, guys. Let's get on to Floyd Masson. An 8-round decision.
Saying things I regret.
An 8-round decision over, I think it was Vikas Singh, not Vikas Singh. It was Vikas Singh. He got an 8-round decision. You can see the final stages here. Floyd Masson moved to 12-0 with 7 KOs. And Pete, one thing I noticed, especially we'll get onto it soon with Rapha and Hardman, but Blake Caparello is making a comeback at cruiserweight. Could he be maybe someone that we could see him with Floyd Masson?
That'd be a very interesting fight, Blake and Floyd Masson. And Blake's also talking about fighting Waitley as well.
Yeah.
So, and David Light. So there's a few fights there for Blake Caparello. I'm pretty sure second half of the year he's already in the pre-training.
Jason Waitley.
You just said Jason. Yeah, I think that'd be good. But I mean, we talked a couple of weeks ago, maybe saying that I think it was after he beat who did he beat? Sorry, Garrett. Anyway, he won the before Christmas. Help me out here, guys. Who did he beat? Nanjo DiCarlo's show.
Flanagan.
Yeah, he beat
Flanagan.
He beat
Mark Flanagan.
Flanagan.
Yeah, sorry, Mark, if you're watching. My apologies. Richie Rolls again, I think.
Richie Rolls.
Yeah. But we were talking then that he didn't really have a lot of options at cruiserweight, but now all of a sudden he's got quite a few. And I think whether it be, I think we said the Waitley one wouldn't happen because of the different camps, but who knows? Caparello's a free agent; he can do what he wants. So let's hope that fight might happen, or Caparello, Waitley, whatever. But all of a sudden, there's some good cruiserweight fights out there after Jaya Pataya moves on. Yeah. Hopefully,
great guy Blake as well. He's watching a really.
He's champion Blake. Yeah, really good bloke. Yeah. All right, well, let's get on to, speaking of the cruiserweights, Tazzie, Jai Apataya, and the Breeders' fight has been officially set for May 11th on the Gold Coast, and Justice Huni is going to be the main support. Before I let you comment on it, let's get a little bit of the vision from the press conference.
In addition to the card, and mate, you wouldn't have seen quality boxing like this for a very, very long time in Australia, maybe since the Jeff Horn Manny Pacquiao fight, where that was obviously one of the greatest fights of all time in this country. And Jaya Pataya, fighting for a world title here against not just a cruiserweight for the world title, but the best cruiserweight in the world. So
my comeback fight since my last one, which was June last year. So I'm very excited, very energized for this, and to be getting back in under a world title fight is nothing better.
You asked Justice about, we'll be doing work together. He's another, amazing athlete, and we're always just growing, we're always, improving. And yeah, just this new Gold Coast lifestyle has got me fit and ready.
And that vision complements of before the fight. So thanks to Rob over there.
Rob.
Yeah. So Tazzie, so it's official May 11th after the COVID scare they had. It was supposed to be, I think, what was it, Pete? Mid-April, I think it was officially going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Just a question.
Yep.
Wasn't Huni fighting the other Aussie boy locked in? The other undefeated?
No, he's fighting a Kiwi.
Yeah, but what happened to the fight that was press conference and all that with the Aussie boy undefeated?
Goodman.
Oh, the young kid, or
no, the undefeated Australian ex-Australian rep. Who?
It's with Kevin Barry. It's with Kevin Barry. Goodman.
Oh yeah, sorry. Joseph Goodall. Yeah, that'll be after this one. Yeah. Yeah, that was supposed to be April 2nd, I think, and then all of it was going to have a tune-up.
Before it.
So he's fighting Kiki Toa Letule. I hope I got that right. 7-1 and 2. So that's who he's fighting. But yeah, you're right. He was supposed to fight Goodall. I've got a feeling that'll be in probably July. I would probably think June or July.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy for Jai Pataya.
Yeah.
Very happy for Jai. I think it's youngest Australian Olympian in history. I love to see sparring between these two guys. Usually to be good. I've heard of they're both Islanders and be very good, classy boxing. But yeah, mate, look, both good guys. I can see Dean Dean saying the best boxing show since
He had to put that in there, didn't he?
Sort of, there's been no others since then, but I mean,
I noticed that.
each of their own. Yeah, but I mean, look, Dean does a great job. We all know, and it hasn't been a world title fight. I mean, Dean's got that on the board, mate. You can't knock what they do. And, mate, you got two very classy Australian fighters in this photo. Two elite, both very good amateurs, and now they're good pros.
Pete, it's going to be a very tough gig for Opatire in that fight. Breeders is no paper champion. He's a real deal.
No, he's not, but he's 37 years old. He's been a bit inactive. At least Opatire gets him in his own backyard. The undercard will be announced next week. We don't want to say too much, but I can say that Faris Chevalier and Joel Camilleri are both on the card, but we'll hear more about that next week. We'll probably get Joel and Faris on, if you like, once it's announced. But they're both in big fights, so the Australian boxing public will be wrapped with both of them.
Will they come on, Pete? Will they come on? We don't have to, beg them to come on. You'll get them on?
You've lost your confidence since Wade Ryan. We want the Linden when you were doing those Zoolander shots with that winning team with Danny Green and all those guys.
Man up, Linden. Come on, Linden. Wake up.
The confidence is shot, boys. The confidence is shot. All right.
We're to the 96 Olympics, mate. Come on.
All right. Got to get that back. All right. Let's move on. Last thing of the Aussie boxing, just a quick one. Oscar De La Hoya was making noise earlier in the week that he's pushing very hard for Ryan Garcia to step in to fight George Kambosos, based on obviously Lomachenko, obviously with the conflict over in Ukraine is over there fighting, so they're not sure he'll be ready to fight. Haney, they think, is talked his way out of it or whatever, but Oscar De La Hoya is pushing for Garcia. Sorry,
apparently Haney's not vaxxed either.
Okay, so now De La Hoya is saying, hey, we're ready to go. So, Tazzie, has it got a bit of legs?
It's probably one of the only other options. I mean, you just said it yourself, Lomachenko's unavailable. Haney, Pete, I know for a fact, like Peter said, he's not vaxxed, and, there's been a lot of talk back and forth. Ryan Garcia was organised to fight against one of Lou DiBella's other boys. De La Hoya, Lou DiBella's got a relationship. This guy's probably the most well-known out of them all in general through social media, and he's like a Kardashian, this kid. So it's probably even a bigger fight, as in for people that, not pure boxing fans, but just public, this guy's a superstar. And he hasn't got a belt, but he's a superstar. So, mate, this could probably be the next best thing.
Yeah, well, Pete.
Who else?
Yeah, well, Garcia's, I think, scheduled to fight April 9th, I think it is, but they're more than prepared to back up 8 weeks later and fight Kambosos. So it'd be Tazzie's right, it'd be massive for the build up, wouldn't it?
It would be. But let's wait and see. We're all really guessing. You just don't know which way it's going to go. To be honest, I can't see Garcia getting himself in that position because he hasn't deserved it. So.
When's that stopped before? It's all about the dollars and the eyeballs on the event.
Yeah, true. But, I mean, does he get pay-per-view buys? I mean, having Instagram followers, what does that mean? That's fake world.
Nah.
You get paid.
Very true, Peter, but this guy is a superstar in America. Like he can fight, and he did beat.
I'm not saying he can't fight. I'm not saying he hasn't got millions of followers, but will they pay to watch him fight? It's different following a guy and it's different watching him.
No, I totally agree with that. But as I said, he's pretty big. Like, he was with Team Canelo. He was his last opponent was the English guy. Was a good victory. He got dropped, but he got back and won. He had a bit of a breakdown, whatever. Look, it's all about money and timing. So if Lomachenko and Haney's not available, and this kid might be, that's if you get this guy's fighting his next fight is a tough fighter from Africa. But Lou DiBella sounds a bit like a deal's happening. Who else is there? I mean,
Oscar Larios. What about Oscar Larios?
I don't think George would want that fight.
He just got beat. He just got stopped, Peter.
Yeah, but who did he get stopped to? Who was it?
In Russia.
Right? Was it Lomachenko, or who did he get stopped to?
He got stopped in Russia a couple of weeks ago, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on what's happening there, Pete. I know you've got your finger on the pulse, so you'll let us know when there's anything happening. But at the moment, as I said, it's just Oscar De La Hoya saying, "Hey, we're ready to go, and we're pushing to get Ryan Garcia that fight." And I know they've probably got to make a decision. What, within the next month? I'm probably thinking.
Well, it'd be good to have Oscar in Australia. I know that.
Well, that in itself would be massive for the event.
I'll take him out. Him and Peter go to Showgirls or something.
Pete will hook him up. All right, we've got to move on, guys. Before we get off the Aussie news, let's go into the last thing that's about Aussie boxing at the moment. It is the road to Rapha and Hardman. It's back. So after our little rant, or my little rant last week, we had a little bit of movement this week. We had the press conference. Wouldn't exactly say it was the MGM Grand, Pete, but it was definitely lived up to the expectations because, Tazzie, I'm not sure whether you watched it, you were probably working, but with all the talk in the lead up to the actual weigh-in, Pete, it was pretty feisty and lived up to all the expectations, didn't it?
Yeah, it's good to see that, at least now they've been face-to-face, the fight's real, it's going to happen, and a lot of people are saying Hardman's going to stop Zerafa late. A lot of people are saying Zerafa's going to stop Hardman late. A lot of people are saying Hardman's already getting in Zerafa's mind and bullying him around at the press conference, putting his elbow in his throat and moving around like he's not even there. Well, mate, if you're there and you're a respectful sportsman, you don't want people putting their elbows in your throat and all that. I mean, you just don't need that type of stuff. But obviously, Hardman's just been Hardman, and he's trying to get into Rafa's mind. And, he's having all the time about pulling out on that SOS and all that type of stuff. But that might have been a legitimate injury. Yeah. He's not a doctor to say that he's pulled out for no reason.
Tazzie, before I let you comment, let's have a look at some highlights of the press conference.
Yeah, no, this guy is supposed to. I gave him credit when a year and a half ago, he was probably, I even had comments like, he's probably on the bigger better thing, but you guys with the 2-0, and then he completely dogged it, didn't turn up. That doesn't sit well with me. This sport is a sport of integrity, and he lacks a backbone. So I voiced my opinion, got all butthurt about it. And that's just what it is. He's a crybaby. He's too emotional. I just smash his fucking face in.
Again, it is real. I mean, we generally don't like each other, so I can't wait to punch his head. But I mean, look, he was butt kissing my ass a few months back. Oh, this and that, and or a year and a half. Well, they should admit enough to admit it or something. So he used to suck up my ass. Russ to do stuff after that. Then all of a sudden he's dropped his nuts and he's found, I want to fight this guy, fight that guy. But like I said, to me, it doesn't matter. When it's time to go, we know what needs to be done. And like I said, it's 10 rounds. I wish it was 12, so I can punch his head in two more rounds.
Facing off gentlemen, Michael Zerafa, Alexander Hardman. The fight for the number one middleweight ranking in the country. For these two men.
Can we just have the boxers just for one? Get clear the area here, and guys, can I move you? We can move you guys over. Can we move you in between the two?
Understood. We just get fellas, we just get you a bit closer to the pattern. Face each other again, fellas. That's the shot.
There we go. Perfect.
Facing off gentlemen, the big fight. April 20, ladies and gentlemen. A reminder, tickets are available at rapatickets.com.au.
Tazzie, as I said, I'm not sure whether you actually seen it, but it definitely didn't disappoint.
Yeah, there's obviously generally a lot of emotion involved with these two guys. They've been talking for a fair while on social media, and finally face-to-face. It was good to actually see it finally announced officially. Tickets on sale. Our Tazzie girl, Christina Massey Jacobs on the undercard against Carly Salmon, which would be a good fight. It was going to be on my show, but it's going on this one, and then she'll be on my one after that. Man, it's a good fight. I mean, look, you can say what you want. It's the biggest domestic fight at the moment in Australia between two guys that both have good names. I mean, Zerafa's, earned the right. He's fought, as we said, the Chocolate Quinlan and obviously old mate that just fought Amir Khan.
Cal Brook.
Kell Brook. I'm a bit slow tonight myself, actually. Thanks to Della Sane for all the hard sparring. But as I said, he's earned the right, mate. He's beaten Jeff Horn, and that's so he's up there obviously. And Hardman has done what he had to do. He's gone from we used to talk about him taking fights last minute as the B side, knocking everyone out, getting on Fox Sports, fighting 4 times last year. The most active fighter alongside Tim Tszyu. So he's got a name. He's known as a puncher. Rapha's known as more of a boxer, but, can take you into deep waters. What else do you want? There's generally bad blood. Yesterday even showed it more so. And there was another clip that I'd seen as well.
I'll show that in a sec.
So, look, mate, it's a good Aussie fight. It's in Melbourne. And it's a shame it's not on Fox, but I mean, it's what can you say? It's the biggest all Aussie fight at the moment that's available.
Yeah, Pete, I'll let you comment in a sec. I just want to show the video of the CCTV. You can see here that Rapha walks in, he walks over. I think that's Blair Studley. He shakes a hand with now. I'm not quite sure who the big fella is. Dean Lottingham there, and then Rapha's like, no thanks. Yeah. Look, that just shows there's legitimate bad blood, doesn't it? When they're actually before the press conference starts and they're into it, and there's no cameras or anything around that they knew of, so it's all legit.
Where did you get this CCTV from, Lyndon? I'm a bit worried about you.
Got contacts. It's all over social media at the moment.
Boxing League guy, crossing wires.
Yeah.
Where did you get that footage from?
We've got contacts. It's on everyone's website at the moment, mate. You just got to do a bit of research. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, look, it just shows that, Hardman's a no-nonsense type of guy. I knew he'd do something like that. He wants to get into Rapha's mind straight away, and you've got to do it when there's no cameras, and you've got to do the nasty stuff. Because deep down, he feels that Rapha is vulnerable mentally. So he's going to push that to the limit and then bring it right up to the fight. So he's going to – but Rapha in Melbourne is one of the hardest guys to beat. He is so hard to beat. I think on fight night, Rapha's going to be not going to worry about any of that, in my opinion anyway.
My take out of it was a couple of things. I think it showed that Michael Rapha had been in that position a lot of times before. He was very relaxed, very calm. Nothing sort of fazed him. He spoke really well. As I said, he really wasn't really fussed about the whole thing because he'd been there many times before. Isaac Hardman, on the other hand, you could probably tell that it was his first proper press conference as a main event. Seemed a little bit nervous. I'm not saying he's nervous about fighting Rapha, but just the occasion, coming down from Brisbane, fronting the media in front of Rapha's family and friends and his team must have been pretty daunting as well. But I really like the way he just took it all in his stride. But as I said, you could probably tell that Rapha had been there before, and this was Hardman's first time at fronting the media in such a big event. So I'm sure it'll definitely heat up. The other thing I'd like to point out is Dean Lottingham there doing a great job trying to stay awake during the whole thing. You can tell he's been at those type of press conferences many, many times because nothing that happened really fazed him at all. I think even when they were pushing each other, he was didn't really get out of first gear. So I'm really looking forward to it. Let's have a look at the ticket prices. They're on sale now, so you can see there general starting at $69. They go to $99, $129, $149, $199, and $229 with the VIP lounge at $500. A silver table will set you back $3,500. That's a table of 10, by the way, food and drinks and all that sort of stuff. Gold table, $5,000. And Tazzie, if you've got a spare $10,000, you can get a ringside table. And you can see there, ticketbooth.com.au, or I think you can also go to rapatickets.com.au as well. So Tazzie, you got a spare 10 grand, mate? We might go.
Next question.
Pete, do you think? Look, I got no doubt they'll sell all those tables because they've got a very good inner sanctum, I suppose. But I'm not actually that stressed about the ticket price. I think for an event like this, $69 to start. I mean, normally if you go to a show at any normal club show in Melbourne, you're paying $90 to $100 for a general. So
Yeah.
$69 is a good starting point.
No, good point. Look, it is. It's like when you put a car up for a price market. Whatever you sell it, that's what the car's worth. So you can ask for whatever you like. It's what you're willing to pay. So if they're willing to pay, it means it's worth that.
Yeah. Well, as I said at the start, we've given it another crack. Hopefully we can get a little bit more content to keep it going. I'd really love to get the guys on, because what I want to actually do in the lead up to it, we'll keep obviously reporting every week of what they're up to, if it's relevant. But I'd really like to, in the week or so before the fight, do a special show based on this fight and maybe get both guys on there. And who knows, might even get them face to face. I know there'll be probably other outlets out there that'll be looking to do the same, but we'll see what we can do. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Look, as I said, mate, the prices are all not that bad. And as I said, if you support boxing, get behind this, because it's two Aussies with there's a world title on the line as well, a possible world title shot. So
Yeah.
It's pretty big, mate. If Triple G relinquishes the belt, it'll be vacant for either of these guys to fight for. So it's even a bit bigger than what you might expect.
Yeah, no, massive stakes. Well, let's get on to the world news at the moment, because there's still a fair bit going on there. Let's first of all start with last Sunday Australian time. Look at this bloke, Chocolatito Gonzalez, with a lopsided decision over one Manuel Martinez. I'm going to put the highlights up, which will probably get us deleted again. But Pete, what a performance from Chocolatito. He looked finished about 4 or 5 years ago, and look where he is now. Amazing.
Yeah, awesome fighter. I watched his fight very closely. I watched it live on Dan's end. He's one of my favourite fighters. He's a great guy. They've got a great team from Nicaragua. He's evergreen, isn't he? He just doesn't waste any energy, punches perfectly, punches accurately. He walks his opponents down. He's just got class everywhere. He's a pound-for-pound star. It's just too bad now he's getting a little older and he's probably not as dominant as he used to be. But he started at 105, and I'm pretty sure he's won world titles in 4 different weight classes. I think he's gone 105, 108, 112 and 115. So we're looking at a 4-division world champion. I know he's won at least 3 world titles in 3 different weight classes. Mr. Honda manages and promotes him, and he has from the start. And I remember when I had Randy Petal-Corin in 2012, world number 2 in the world, and we got offered to fight him, and I said no straight away. I mean, he was at 108 back then. So he's a beast. If he was a heavier weight guy, I mean, everyone would know who he was. If he was fighting like this at middleweight, he'd be just making 15, 20 million a fight. But he's a little guy, and the money's just not there with the little guys. He probably would have got paid 300 or 400 grand for this fight.
Yeah, not good. Tazzie, he'd be an absolute nightmare to fight, wouldn't he? Because he just does not let up ever.
Yeah, mate, he's a great little fighter. He was pound for pound, 1 or 2 or 3 only a few years ago, but then he lost to that tie, and we thought he might have been done with it, Lyndon, but he's rallied back. He's had some great fights recently, and to win again, I mean, what a little champion. What an absolute little champion. Future Hall of Famer, 4-weight division champion. And just, what can you say, mate? These guys, the little guys like this, they make the weight. They give you exciting fights. They never come in half-arse it. This is what boxing's all about, mate. The little guys. I've always loved the little flyweights, and Michael Cabahas and Chinica Gonzalez and Ricardo Lopez, and it's beautiful because it's awesome.
Yeah, no, as I said, I saw him get knocked out 4 or 5 years ago, and to come back from that, an amazing job from Chocolatito, one of the all-time greats. Pete, let's get on to Canelo. We talked about this last week, that the fight had been announced, but now they've officially had the press conference May 7th. It looks like it's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. What are your first thoughts on the fight?
Seen a lot of Bivol. Bivol's very good, strong fighter, and deserves his shot. But Canelo's got X factor. I mean, Canelo's the best pound-for-pound star now in the world. Bivol's going to have to get lucky and strike big. I just can't see him winning the fight, I'll be quite honest. I mean, you can see he's slightly bigger there than Canelo, and and what have you. But he just, for mine, I saw him fight Craig Richards, and Craig Richards nearly beat him. It was during a lockdown period where there was no crowds, and Craig Richards is a good light heavyweight from England, and it was a real good contest, but Bivell's class just shone through at the end. It was a real close decision, but I just can't say he's going to beat Canelo. I'm sorry. I think it'll be a good competitive fight, but I just can't see him troubling Canelo Alvarez.
What do you think, Tazzie?
Yeah, look, Canelo is the biggest star in boxing at the moment. He's daring to be great again. He's going up to light heavyweight. He's facing an undefeated champion, a tough Russian, bigger, stronger. Like Peter says, I can't see Bivol worrying Canelo too much. The size is as much as recent opponents. They've all been bigger than him lately. Some have towered over Canelo. So it's not the size thing. He's a lot faster than a lot of them. He picks his punches. He's very good defensively. He slows the pace down to his pace. And I think he'll beat Bivol. I think he'd beat the best one if you Bedoyev. I think he'd even beat him. I just think that they're not going to worry him. Yeah, they're bigger and they're stronger. They hit harder, but he's that good. I can't see anyone bothering him. So I believe he'll beat Bivol. I believe he'll beat Triple G if that fight happens. And if he fights Bedoyev, I think he beats him too. I don't see anyone beating him in super middleweight or light heavy. Just to be honest, Charlo's, the big Mexican guy, Benavidez, I don't see any of them. He is that good. And he's still young.
Yeah, he's at his peak at the moment, isn't he? So it's going to be pretty hard to beat.
Wow.
All right, Pete, let's get on to the next piece of news, and that is Jamel Charlo, Brian Castano 2, officially announced for May 14th. So probably a good point. You can see here that Tim took the fight when he did, because it's a fair bit of time to wait, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's unfortunate when you get delays, but that's boxing. This will be a good rematch. I mean, a lot of people thought Castano won the first one, so he gets his now to beat Charlo. Look, Charlo, he wants to move up and fight all the big guys as well. So the loser of this fight's going to fall way behind in the pack, and the winner's just going to get really in a nice position to make a lot of money. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I mean, did Charlo take him cheap the first time and didn't prepare? And this time he's going to... Because rematches are real interesting, aren't they? It's not like... They never ever pan out like the first time most of the time. One fighter's normally off in one or doesn't get ready. I mean, is this going to be where Charlo comes out and becomes a different fighter and gets to the next level? Or I mean, is Castano going to prove that, he's a way better fighter and get rid of him, dispatch him? It's going to be a really interesting fight.
Yeah, no, I agree, Tazzie. I must admit, in the first fight, I was really surprised at how ordinary Castano made Jamel Charlo look. Now, I thought Charlo would win that fight quite comfortably, but he was lethargic, he was lazy. Castano just pushed the pace and literally didn't really have much resistance from Charlo. So I've got no doubt it'll change this time, but what do you think? Do you reckon it'll be a different fight?
Yeah, I agree. I was a bit surprised, that Castano, who I had winning, forced Charlo back to the ropes a lot, and I never really like guys fighting off the ropes. I mean, some of the legends can do it, but I teach my boxers to try and control the center ring. He fought in patches. He came back and won some rounds, but it wasn't overly impressive. I thought Castano won it. I think Charlo will be better this time round, like he was when he lost to Harrison. So I think I'm tipping Charlo to win. Then, if he does win, does he defend against Tim Tszyu if Tim wins this fight, or does he go up for bigger things? So will the title be vacant? But I mean, that's interesting as well. There's no guarantee Tim's going to get Charlo if Tim wins this next fight. Yeah. Will Charlo defend against a number 1 round challenger, or will he go on and gamble with Terence Crawford, or will he?
He's been talking about that, hasn't he, this week?
What will he do?
Yeah. And Pete, the funny thing is, I think if you look at stylistically, I think Tim, if Tim fought the winner, I think he'd have more trouble with Charlo than Castano. I think Castano's tailor-made for Tim, where Charlo's probably a little bit more skilled. But these guys put together, technique-wise, I think Castano's almost got him covered.
Yeah, look, it's unfair to kind of compare right at the moment. But, let's see who the winner is, see what the plans are. Obviously, Tim's making his debut as well. He's not fighting at Patsy. It's his first fight away from Australia. A lot's going to have to happen, but if he does fight Charlo, there's no reason why Tim Tszyu cannot beat Charlo. Tim Tszyu's got a lot of class.
100%.
Real good power. So, if that fight does happen, you just don't know with boxing politics where it all really sits.
Yep, as always. All right, let's get on to the next point. It is Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk has been put on hold indefinitely. Obviously, again, because of the conflict in Ukraine. Usyk is over there amongst it all. So I think they're talking about Joshua lining up another fight, Tazzie, and I can't remember, I think they were talking maybe Joe Joyce might be in line, but either way, they're going to have to get Joshua a fight. So
Joe Joyce is no slouch. Good fighter.
Yeah.
Can only get better and better too.
Yeah.
Bronze medal in the Olympics, I think.
Yeah. I remember actually I met him in Las Vegas and had no idea who he was. Richie Roll strikes again. But anyway.
See what I mean, Lyndon? Mate,
I know. Well, it's funny. I was there with the twins in...
for all them years, being an entrepreneur, bottle shops, nightclubs, all that stuff. And he just... It's like he didn't pick up a magazine or watch a live fight for 10 years. No, come on.
I did. This is 2017. He just turned pro after the Olympics. I was there actually in the food court with the Maloney twins having a late night feed after the fights. I think he was actually up there getting something to eat, and the boys knew who he was, but I had no idea. So they introduced me, and I was like, yep, that's great. And it wasn't until later I looked him up that I realised he was an Olympian. So there you go. Sorry. I've got to do a bit more research. All right. That's nearly 5 years ago, by the way, so cut me a little bit of slack. All right. On to the next point. Triple G Golovkin to face Ryota Maruta. April 9th in Japan. Pete, have I said that right? Maruta, is it?
Maruta.
April 9 in Japan. So is it a tough fight for Triple G or just an honest night's work for him?
I actually saw Maruta fight live. Randy Peddlecorn fought Ken Shiro, and Maruta fought Butler, and that was for the WBA World Title. It was Christmas time 2019. I actually saw him in training at the gym for a couple of weeks as well. He's very good, but he's hittable. Triple G getting close to 40 years of age. At least it's in Japan.
Yeah.
And he's going to get a chance beating Japan because Maruta in Japan is a massive name. He makes $5 million a fight. So he's a huge name. He's a celebrity. He's a gold medalist at the Olympics. He ticks all the boxes. This is his real opportunity to cross over. And they were talking about that a few years ago that they were going to get Triple G or Canelo Alvarez over to Japan. So it's good they got Triple G. Does he really win? I just don't know. Where's Triple G at the moment? I mean, is he...
We don't know. He's barely fought, has he?
Yeah, he's heading close to 40 years of age. He only needs to, and he relies massively on his power. He only needs to be a bit rusty enough because Maruta's got a big heart, but Maruta's very hittable. It's a shocking fight for Maruta. He's very hittable. So, look, I'm thinking, Triple G could put him to sleep. There's no doubt about that. So, it's going to be a real interesting fight.
Should be. And Tazzie, another fight announced this week. Errol Spence, Jordanis Ugas, April 16th unification fight. Should be a ripper.
Yeah, it's. I wish it was Crawford in the corner versus Spence, but it's not. So it's still for a title.
Yep.
Ugas is a great Cuban who just come off the big win over the great Manny Pacquiao. So it's a good fight. And may the best man win. I just hope the winner fights Terence Crawford.
Yep.
So we can put it all to rest. Find out who the champion is at that weight, and then give Enos and Virgil Ortiz their shot eventually. But let's find out who the top dog is. Is it Spence or the winner of this fight, or is it Terence Crawford? Let's just finally work out who's the man at that weight, please.
Yeah. No, you're right, mate. PBC. I was going to say Bob Aramby's not with Crawford anymore. Surely Crawford's now a free agent. Surely it should be easy to make, but this is boxing, so who knows? Right, the final point, Pete. This is just a quick one to throw in there. Tyson Fury, Dylan White. Tickets went on sale this week. 85,000 tickets in 3 hours. We talk about America being the home of boxing, but surely there's no more fanatical boxing fans than the English.
Yeah, I think we could do that in Australia as well.
85,000 tickets in 3 hours?
I think we could. I think we could. We do it at the grand final. We sell 100,000
in 3 hours.
Yeah, football's not boxing, Peter. Football's
yeah, but our population as well, Tazzie. Our population's only 50% or 60% less than.
No, I know that, but they're not
So
boxing fans in Australia.
We do amazing. We do
boxing
amazing
fans in Australia.
For boxing, I would strongly doubt.
Me and you, Peter.
Yeah.
Me and you work our ass off to get the crowds we get. Good, honest crowds. It doesn't come easy to us. They're not. The boxing is not that popular in Australia. Honestly.
Well, to put it in context, the first day of Manny Pacquiao and Jeff Horn, they sold 15,000 tickets in the first day, and that was Pacquiao Horn. So I'm not sure any fight we're going to put on is going to get anywhere near that. But 85,000 in 3 hours, that is just...
Maybe, no, Peter's right, actually.
Okay.
Wade Ryan rematch versus Dennis Hogan could do those numbers.
Well, you never know. Never know your luck. But I just thought that was amazing. And the English boxing fans, I always say it every week, hats off, because you rule the boxing
fans are just as good.
Sorry?
Aussie fans are just as good.
Aussie boxing fans?
No, not boxing, just fans in general.
Not a boxing, though, Pete. Make it AFL and they'll be there. Boxing, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, all right, guys, well, let's get on to the second last segment of this episode. It is everyone's favourite, in my opinion, because it's my segment. It is the talking points. Now, there's always plenty going around. I've got 3 points to go through tonight. Just a couple of...
And there's a Tazzie Tirade as well.
And then, a Tazzie Tirade we'll do after this. That'll get you fired up.
You can't just take your segment off me, mate. You can't
I'm sorry.
do that.
I'm sorry. I've got to check what mood you're in. But let's get on to the first one. We'll do this, then we'll get the Tirade.
I don't even know what mood I'm in. I've got no idea.
All right, let's get on to the first one. Australia could have up to 5 world champions by the end of 2022. So we're looking at, obviously, there's the George Kambosos, there may be Tim Tszyu, there's maybe Jai Apataya. Shanika Johnson's fighting on the undercard of Rapha Hardman, and then the winner of Hardman Rapha themselves could fight for the world title later in the year. And then you throw in maybe a Shannon O'Connell, who might also be in the mix at some stage as well, because who knows, could it actually be up to 6? What about
a Maloney?
And the Maloney's, of course. So who knows? It's just the sky's the limit for our guys and girls at the moment.
What about Dennis Hogan, IBO world title?
Sorry, Pete, I'm not including the IBO. I'm sorry, all due respect to the IBO, but I don't count it as a world title. I'm sorry. Sorry, okay. Justin Kennedy, if you're watching.
You never know. Ferris Chevrolet could get a world title shot. He's in that. He's been talked about before, being mentioned, so he's there as well.
Yeah. Now, look, I'm sure the IBO to the ones that have won it is great, but I don't know. What do you reckon, Tazzie? I don't see it as a legitimate world title. I'm sorry.
Well, they don't. Well, I don't know. They must do now. They never had a ranking system before.
Yeah.
So they never used to have a ranking system, but I don't know. Look, my guy's going to fight for an IBO Oceania, but
that's fine. Regional titles are different.
Talking about world titles, no, I don't.
Yeah. And with all due respect to a Wade Ryan type, I know Dennis Hogan's been at the world level before, but with all due respect to Wade Ryan, he, in my opinion, is not at the level to fight for a legitimate world title. I'm sorry, and I'm not just saying that, but he's an honest regional fighter, but world level.
He really pissed Lyndon off, didn't he, Peter?
Hold a grudge, mate. No, look, I'm just being honest, and I've been a real fan of Wade Ryan, as we all have, because he's done so much. But to fight for a world title, I'm not quite sure that he's at that level. But that's just my opinion. So, Wade, if you're going to have a crack, directed at me, not these two.
Come on the show and talk to me.
Come on, let's discuss it. All right.
Come on and bring it on, mate.
Sorry, before we move on, though, but all things aside, how great is that, Pete, that we could have 5, 6, 7, 8 people fighting for world titles this year?
Awesome. Yeah. More of it. Let's hope they all get an opportunity to fight for a world title.
And
that's a win in itself.
No, I think it's great. All right, Tazzie, talking point number 2. Canelo Triple G 3, if it happens, is 3 years too late.
Maybe for Triple G, but it's still an interesting fight.
They fought in 2017, 2018, and of course, it's been, by the time they fight, it'll be 4 years after the initial fight. So
yeah, it obviously could have been sooner. People will still be interested in it, me as well.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's. I mean, they were both very close fights, you know, and like even with Canelo, I did think he won the second one, but it was close. So the third one should have been within a couple of years. So look, I guess your answer is yes. It probably is too late.
Yeah.
Like, it's still a good fight if Triple G is still all right. But yeah, look, I mean, yeah, I guess the answer is yes.
Pete, what do you think?
I still want to see it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah, me
Canelo's to another level, but Triple G getting close to 40, around that 40 mark, and inactive, you'd be putting all your marbles in Canelo's corner, but you'd still want to see that fight anyway. And hopefully Triple G can beat Maruta and get a bit of momentum, and it swings more into that fight and makes it more interesting.
Yeah, and look, I think you're right. I mean, they'll get 1 million plus pay-per-view buys for it in the States, and it'll make massive money. So it's another Mayweather Pacquiao. But I suppose what I'm saying is this fight should have been 2019, a year after the second fight. So, but look, better late than never. And I think there's no coincidence that Canelo might have maybe waited 3 years just to put the exclamation mark on an old Triple G. But we'll see what Triple G's got when he fights Maruta. All right, guys, last one. I just thought I'd throw this one in there. Eddie Hearn is still filthy that Tyson Fury didn't sign with him. Now, I just want to put up a video here just to highlight my point.
Easy just to hear from Tyson Fury, who talks so much shit. I mean, he said today that I told Dillian White not to. It's absolute rubbish. There's all from Fury says, you're absolutely mad. You know the thing they said the other day was, he says, I can't believe, Tyson Fury says, I cannot believe that Dillian White didn't turn up to the press conference. I would never do that. That's a disgrace. He never turned up to the Klitschko press conference. Tyson Fury, do your research. Look into the history. He didn't turn up. He said that his car broke down on the way. Yeah, so don't believe a word Tyson. See what happens when you get caught trading. Watch the Steve Cunningham fight with Tyson Fury. Same thing. Light punching, cruiserweight. They trade up, Fury's out, on the floor. This will be the same thing. You'll get sloppy in the fight, catch and counter with a left hook. If he buttons him on the chin, it's over. He won't need a count.
So, Pete, what do you think? Is he a little bit butthurt that Tyson Fury didn't sign with him initially?
Look, I think back then,
Tyson Fury every chance he gets, by the way.
300 or 400. He was 80, 90 pounds overweight. He was all over the shop, and it's good Frank Warren showed faith, and then obviously moved into top rank, and now he's a superstar, but he's always going to be a superstar. That they should have signed him up, but Matchroom, they're fussy, I guess. And he came with baggage back then, so it is what it is. I mean, it's no different than playing the stock market. Some stocks go up, some stocks don't, so it's easy in hindsight.
Yeah, no, you're right. And Tazzie, Eddie Hearn hasn't put a foot wrong in the last few years, but as I said, I'll put that in there because I just get the feeling sometimes he's kicking himself that he didn't sign him when he had the chance.
Yeah, and like Frank Warren and him are right. I mean, Frank was the man for so many years, and Eddie Hearn, so they've got rivalry too. So it's a big domestic, all English affair. And
it's all
I like
fun.
both. I like both sides.
Yeah.
Eddie, I'm a massive fan of what Eddie's done. Obviously, love Tyson. I respect Frank Warren. I respect any promoter that's been in the game for so long, because as Peter knows,
at that level,
it's no beers and Skittles. It's to be in the game, this game that we're in, for so long, where there's so much treachery and backstabbing and bullshit, and we lose money or people can pull out of fights, and it's just So I mean, hats off to anyone that gives their time in the sport, because it's a fucking hard sport.
Yeah. Well, as always, Tyson Fury had the last word. This is what he had to say about Eddie Hearn.
And it's very easy just to hear from Tyson.
Hang on, we'll put Tyson.
Talking about me living in the hotel in Vegas, wearing the Versace shirts. Yes, I'm absolutely guilty, Eddie. I'm over here in my 6,000 square foot hotel room, wearing Versace every single day. If you keep sucking Canelo off, you'll be able to get a couple of these shirts yourself, mate. Or if you want, I can borrow you a couple. Don't worry about it. And maybe give you a little bit of swag too. Anyway,
so he's always got the last word, Tyson. Oh, look, I agree with you, Tazzie. We love Tyson Fury. We love Eddie Hearn. So much respect for what he's doing. on the world scale at the moment. So, look, it's just a bit of fun, but I just get the impression every chance Eddie Hearn gets, he lays the boots into Tyson Fury. So it's all in a bit of fun. Speaking of all in fun, Tazzie, it is up to you for your next segment, which is Tazzie's Tirade. And where am I at the moment? I'll just fix myself there. There I am. What's on your mind tonight, Tazzie?
Oh, I've got two. Does that matter?
Spit them out. There.
First one is about fighters that pull out of fights on short notice, and if they make a habit of doing it, I think there should be some fine in place or being banned from, like ones that, if it's legit, but ones that seem to do it regularly, there should be something in place. Maybe if you do it once, you mark down as a warning.
Yeah.
If you do it a couple of times, because I had my fighter, Bo Belbin, the other day, his opponent pulled out last minute and we couldn't get him on. And it happened to a few other fights in Melbourne the other day. It's got to stop. I mean, like unless something's really, where it's legit, you broke your leg, fell over, crashed your car, put it down or whatever. But if it's more than once or twice, there's got to be something in place because it hurts the promoters, Peter, and it ruins the show. It ruins the fighter sometimes. They lose weight day before the fight. They get that phone call. I've had it before myself. Some don't come back from it. I mean, so I think there's something should be in place with the Australian Boxing Board where, if it's a habit too much, you're going to get fined. You're going to get banned from fighting maybe for 6 months because we don't want time wasted in the sport. We want guys that take the fight, sign the contract, and if it's not something really, really serious, they turn up and fight. Something needs to be put in place.
Pete, it's actually, do you think that's got a bit of merit? I know it might be hard to implement, but do you think there could be like a star system or something that, and there's nothing worse. Tazzie's 100% right. As promoters, that last week you barely sleep because you're just waiting for someone to pull out, and if they pull out the week of the fight, good luck getting a replacement. But do you think there could be some sort of demerit system or star system or something like that? What are your thoughts?
No, it won't work because they just go to a doctor and a doctor will write he's medically unfit to work. See you later. So, and then another promoter will put him on. There's no sort of universal thing with promoters. One promoter's always trying to pinch the other promoter.
No, I don't mean one promoter. I mean in general, like Melbourne boxing or Australian boxing.
Victorian boxing banned him from 6 months.
If someone pulls out and they get a doctor's certificate, what do you? Well, I mean, I don't get it. So if he's unfit to fight for 6 weeks, why can't he fight in 2 months' time if he wants to fight? I don't get the point.
I think you
if you do it more than once, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
Well, if he's got an injury and he starts pulling out of fights, it's up to the promoter then to say we're not going to use you anymore. Simple as that.
I think Tazzie, maybe it might come down to, in that instance, say someone's on my show and they pull out. It might be a matter of saying, hey, Pete, watch out for this guy because this happened, and Tazzie, watch out for him. It might be more of a moral type of thing between the promoters to actually talk amongst
because
themselves.
You know that it's not always legit, the reason they're pulling out.
Mate, a lot of the time it's not legit.
Sometimes they're never going to fight at all.
Yeah.
They're wasted. I'm sure there's been guys waste your time, Peter. I've had it, and Linda the same.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Number two, I don't want this to go out of, please both respect what I'm saying, guys. I don't want this to turn nasty or get too political. So just be conscious. I don't want this to turn into messy. I just want to say the fact that the sanctioning bodies and even some people, I've seen on Facebook, some well-known boxing people saying that Russian fighters should be, like Bivlov shouldn't fight Canelo and guys shouldn't get title shots and banned because of the conflict, I think is wrong. I think, it shouldn't, the people in boxing shouldn't be for what's going on in another country. And if that's the case, be legit. And when Israel or America decides to bomb someone for whatever reason, I'm just saying, do the same to them. So I just think it's not fair that this is coming into boxing. It's coming into other things, but we're talking boxing. I don't think them sanctions should come in to affect Russian fighters.
Yeah, Pete. I'll go first here. I was actually going to put that exact issue or subject in last week's talking points because I think the some of the sanctioning bodies were banning Russian fighters from fighting for them or putting world title fights in Russia. So those different sanctions. Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I don't think it's something for everyone to get excited about. My opinion is that I'm not going to comment on the conflict itself. I don't know.
No, I'm not either.
Yeah, I don't know enough to comment on it. I won't comment on anything, and I don't know anything about it. All I will say is that, from what I can see, the Russian people are hurting. I won't say as much as the Ukrainian people. That can't be possible.
No.
But
I'm just talking about
the
the
Russian
boxing
people
anyway.
are.
I don't think it should affect Bivol.
Yeah, the Russian
Canelo,
people.
Which I saw.
Yeah.
I saw someone say about that, and it shouldn't affect anyone's sanctioning bodies.
Yeah.
So I just don't think it should come into boxing.
I was just going to say, don't think the Russian people or athletes or whether it be boxers or whatever should be almost hung out to dry because of what the government's doing. I know it's a bit complicated, but look, I'm with you, mate. As I said, I don't know anything about the conflict itself enough to comment, but on that, I think it's on the surface, it's a bit rich just to put a line through all the Russian athletes and that around the world. They can't compete for different events. Pete, what do you think? I'm sure you'll have an alternative view, but what are your thoughts?
No, look, it's sport. It's got nothing to do with politics. Don't mix sports with politics. That's why we have sports, to get rid of the politics. So every athlete's different. I mean, they're not penalising the tennis players. They're not penalising other sportsmen. So why penalise boxing? Obviously, to send a fighter now into Russia during this period, you wouldn't send a fighter into.
No, that's a bit different. I'm not saying that.
If a fighter wants to leave Russia to another country and fight, why not? There's nothing should stop that.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about it, again, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, Tazzie, is that some of the vitriol being targeted at Russian people in general is pretty ordinary, I think, regardless of what you think of what the government's doing. They actually target Russian people that are living in Australia as well.
I've said this to so many people, because this is something that I do study. If you're going to put the finger in this scenario, Israel bombed the shit out of Palestine last year for 11 days straight. No one's talking about Israel or saying anything because it wasn't as popular back then, wasn't on social media. And America has invaded how many countries? It doesn't matter what excuse, because it's their excuse. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I'm just saying be level and treat everyone the same. So if these guys now they're in conflict are bad, and obviously whatever reason, then you can't let Israel make. That's what I'm saying. Just be along the board. War's wrong. People dying wrong in any shape and form. But just be consistent. And if you don't know about it, then don't comment on it. Because I know a lot of people open their big mouths about this subject. They don't even know where Palestine is on the map. So shut your fucking mouth. That's
mate, you know what it's like, though, is that...
shut your fucking mouth.
You know what it's like, though, mate, is that everyone's gone from COVID experts to war experts. But that's just the side of it.
They know fucking jackal. They know fuck all.
All right, well, let's move on. Thanks for that, Tazzie. All good. Let's move on to everyone's second favourite segment after...
What's your favourite?
It is the favourite. I know it's everyone's favourite. It gets the most comments, but I'm just
trying
to...
Let's go, Peter.
All right, boys.
Blood, Peter.
You know the drill. 10 questions, 5 Aussie questions, 4 international questions, and 1 who am I question. All right, and remember, the only thing I'll say is judge's decision is final. Okay?
Yep.
Grant Tazzie Brown, Pistol Pete Matiatis, the main event. Here we go. Number 1. What is the nickname of Stevie Spark? Peter. 3, 2, 1. Tazzie?
The Viking.
Correct. The Viking. Stevie Spark. 1 to Tazzie. Number 2. How many people, rounded off, attended the Jeff Horn Manny Pacquiao fight?
Tazzie.
Peter?
52,000.
Incorrect. Tazzie?
54,000.
Incorrect. 51,000 attended the event. So 1 to Tazzie. You're almost right, Pete. All right. This is a tricky one. We'll see how you go with this. In what regional city was the Dean Waters Dave Russell heavyweight?
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Wagga Wagga.
Incorrect. Tazzie. You wanted harder questions, by the way, Pete. I'll throw this one in here. What
Albury
regional
Wodonga.
city hosted...
Albury Wodonga.
Nah, Swan Hill, back in 1986.
I don't even know where that is. I think it's in Adelaide, isn't it?
No,
South
it's
Australia?
about
Victoria?
2 hours past Bendigo, I think, in Victoria.
Okay.
So, I thought you remember that, Pete. I remember watching it on the news at the time.
I know it's a regional New South Wales town.
It's right on the border, but I remember watching it on regional TV back in the day. Being in Bendigo, we got the regional news, and it was...
Stan the Man fought on the undercard as well.
I think he did, yeah. All right, number 4. So it's still 1 to Tazzie, 0 to Pete. Who did Jeff Fennick defeat to win the vacant WBC featherweight title?
Tazzie.
Peter.
Collegius.
First name?
Victor.
Correct. Victor Collegius, 1988. In my opinion, the toughest, apart from Azuma Nelson, the toughest fighter that Jeff fought, and I think he'll tell you that as well. He was a monster. And I remember that left hook nearly lifted Jeff off the floor in the first round, or uppercut, I think it was. Last Aussie question. What title was on the line when Shannon Taylor challenged Shane Mosley?
Tazzie.
Yes, Tazzie.
WBC.
Yeah, what division?
Welterweight title.
Yes, WBC welterweight title. 2 to 1. Who was the IBF's first ever heavyweight champion? Yes, Peter.
Larry Holmes.
He was. 1984, I think it was. 2-2. Who beat Donald Curry in the 1986 upset of the year?
Tazzie.
Yes, Peter.
Michael Nunn.
Incorrect. Tazzie?
Lloyd Hunnigan.
Certainly did. Lloyd Hunnigan. Cut he open his eye. 1986 took all the welterweight titles. 3 to 2, is it? 3 to 2.
Yeah.
Who was Felix Trinidad's final opponent?
Peter.
Tazzie?
Roy Jones Jr.
Correct. All right. Number 9. Got to get a couple here, Pete. What year was the Mike Tyson-Michael Spinks fight?
Tazzie.
Peter.
Tazzie?
88.
88. Correct. Geez, I think we're going to have the first winning streak for a while. Who am I? Come on, Pete. This is one for you. I was born on April 24th, 1961. I turned pro in 1981, and after 14 fights, received my first world title shot, which I won by 8th round TKO. After 2 defences, I lost my belt after a devastating first round knockout. After 5 straight wins, I had an opportunity to win another version of the title, but was stopped in 2 rounds by a future great. After 2 more losses, my career looked over, but I moved up in weight and won another world title in 1987. After 4 defences, I lost the title to the same fighter that I lost my previous world title to. I would lose 2 more attempts at world titles in 1991 and 1995 before retiring in 1999 with a 59-13 with 35 KOs record. Now we get a bit juicy. My resume included fights against the likes of Julio Cesar Chavez, Pernell Whitaker, Costa Tszyu, and Vinny Pazienza. I would then turn to training, where I coached my nephew to multiple world title wins before dying in 2020 after a long health battle.
Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Hector Camacho.
Incorrect. You get the final clue here, Pete. Tazzie. I was known as the Black Mamba. I am.
Roger Mayweather.
Roger Mayweather. I thought after I said about training my nephew to multiple world titles, Pete, I thought that would have been a given.
4 straight, guys. 4 straight.
And Mayweather, Camacho never fought Tszyu.
No, he didn't. No. And I still remember when Roger Mayweather beat Vinny Pazienza on the Leonard Lalonde undercard. I gave him an absolute lesson that night.
4 times, baby. Peter.
Yeah. Tazzie, it's all good when you speed jump, but it's no issue. I mean, with those type of questions, Mike, I still dispute. I was told that Pacquiao and Horn got 52,000. That was the official.
51. If you look at the press conference yesterday, even Dean Lonigan commented that he had 51,000 at the at that fight.
I'm going to Google that one up because we've always said 52.
Yeah. No,
They're doing
well,
the
Dean, as I
shoey.
said, even Dean said yesterday,
They're doing the
51. So
shoey. They're doing the shoey.
Dean said it as well, did he?
Dean said it yesterday at the press conference. Yep.
Oh,
51,000.
well,
doesn't matter,
well,
anyway,
it was
Peter.
He was a little bit sleepy yesterday, Dean. He struggled to keep his eyes open there for a
I
while.
took things to another level now. I've took it to another level now.
Well, mate,
Took it to a
you know, the
different level.
Michael Spinks, Mike Tyson, 1988,
Took
that
it to
one
another
was,
level.
they're Dorothy Dixie questions, they are.
Oh, now
Too
we're down
easy?
the questions, Lyndon. Oh, my God.
Now we're
Take it on
blaming
the
the
chin,
easy
Peter.
questions.
Let's
All right.
go and do proper questions. Can I ask
Take
you a
it on
question?
the chin.
And
Take
let's
it on
say,
the chin. If you
can
was
I
winning,
do a question for both of you guys?
if
Yeah.
you was winning,
You don't want to do one, or you
Yeah,
do?
yeah, go ahead.
All right. Who was the first lightweight WBC world champion?
The first, hang on, we're going back to like the 1940s or 50s here, aren't we?
No, all right. I'll give you a quick question. What year was the WBC first formed?
The exact year, 1960.
Wrong. No. He's going on Google. Yeah, get on Google.
no, I'm
Tazzie.
not. No, I'm not. I'm not
What
playing
year?
this game. I've already won. It's over. You can
Yeah,
talk amongst
all right.
yourselves.
Can we do another question? Can we do another question?
No,
Yeah.
It's 1963, by the
Okay,
way.
well, I was close. Come
you're a
on.
bad loser.
All right. If an opponent hits another opponent under the belt and it's deemed a accidental blow, and he gets hit low in the groin and he doesn't get up in the 5 minutes, what is that contest ruled?
It is a TKO win to the guy that punched him.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'm going to go, guys. I won again. Peter, just cop it on the chin, mate. You're better than that. See you, boys.
I've asked two simple questions, son.
Well, he's
Did you
out
like
of there.
those?
He's gone. All right, no worries. All right, Pete. Well, thanks again,
No, but
mate.
it's not
There's
Yeah, no,
Tazzie
good
gone.
on Tazzie. But it'd be great if we get questions like that in there, Lyndon, where you actually had to think rather than what's his nickname or something
That's
like
a
that.
pretty tough question about the WBC. I think I was 3 years off, but okay, I'll step up. I did actually put in a couple of harder ones tonight that you didn't
Because
get.
then it comes on who jumps on the question when they become like that.
All right, okay. Well, I think that was the only. I think that was the only one that he's jumped in really quick. The other one you had to think about it. That's fine.
No,
I'll
there was
take it on board.
two.
What was the
There
other
was-
one?
It was a Tyson one.
Tyson? No, that was the only Tyson one.
Mike Tyson, Spinks, 88.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. What was the other easy one?
The other one was Felix Trinidad's last fight.
Okay, too easy.
Oh, probably not. But yeah, he jumped in. Yeah, it wasn't a hard one, but it wasn't an easy one.
All right. Well, for next week.
They can't be too hard, I understand, because none of us will end up getting them.
Nah, all good. Nah, we'll appreciate you being on again, mate. We've got some news hopefully soon about maybe a possible new show that we're going to launch on the channel. So we'll see how we go. But that's it for this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Tuesday for Classic Fights.
Which ones have we got?
Classic Fight is the Nigel Benn Chris Eubank fights.
Yeah, that's their ripper.
Yep.
And the dream fight was...
Anyone's guess. Can't remember.
All right.
All right, mate. See you then.
See you, Lyndon.